Hi, everyone. I'm Staci, a compulsive eater from Los Angeles, California. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write my meals down. I commit them to my sponsor. I do not eat in between my meals, no matter what. And abstinence is most important in my life today without exception. And my abstinence date is July 1st, 2017, which means for the last 8 years and 19 days, I have been 100% honest about everything surrounding my food with my sponsor. Um, just by way of background, I'm 5'1". I've gone up and down 25 to 35 pounds since from college until I came into another food fellowship when I was 32 from violent binging and many ways of restricting. So that's kind of the 40,000 foot view. So what it used to be like is I never remember a time that I was not constantly thinking about food. Um, I don't know what, I think I came out the chute this way. I also think because my first bout of anaphylaxis was I was 2 years old and I went into anaphylactic shock from food. And ever since I learned to read, I was reading ingredients um, on packages and bringing my own special food places. And so food always took on this big like meaning for me. I also had these insatiable cravings from a very young age because I had undiagnosed diabetes. And so I would eat something and my body couldn't process the sugar. And so I would just have all this sugar floating around in my system and it would cause these insatiable cravings. I also grew up in a home with a mom who put makeup on before she went to bed and who was constantly concerned about her appearance and would go up and down about 50 pounds constantly on a 4'11" frame. So food was just always right there. And I didn't realize I was different. I think the first time I really realized I was different than other people was in my yearbook when it said, I can't remember when, this is in print, Staci wasn't eating or thinking about food. And I was thin until I went to college. So I was constantly active and I would go out to lunch with people and I would order two of the main things and three of the side things and dessert and a diet soda. And I didn't really care what people thought because I just had to have it. And I was doing, I would before I could even drive, I would ask my dad. He could tell, see, this is a thing. I never wanted to eat. I felt like I needed to have these foods. And so he could tell by the look in my eyes enough to go out at night, go get the raw stuff from that the Girl Scouts do, the raw stuff from the market, bring it back home to me. I would cut it, he would cut it in half and I would eat it in a bowl raw. And because I'm allergic to one of the ingredients, but it didn't rise to the level of anaphylaxis, I would have the diet soda with it. So the bubbles would make it so I wouldn't be as itchy, but it just didn't matter. Like that was the food that I had to have. I totaled my first car because of food out of three. That was in high school when I reached down to get something that we don't eat from the passenger floor. And I hit a car that hit a car, and I had 5 girls in my car. Um, yeah, so let's just move on to college. So then in college, it was the first time that I was away from my house and I just had total freedom to get whatever I wanted to get. And I did. And that's when I started going the up and down, the 25 to 35 pounds. And that's because I didn't have, I wasn't exercising as much. Not like that. Thank you, Annette. Not like that would do anything for me now. I wasn't moving and I just started gaining. So some of the things that I've tried restricting, let me see, I have a list actually, restricting, slim fast, chewing food and spitting it out, over exercising, overusing laxatives. I'm a lifetime member of Weight Watchers, South Beach, the over the counter diet medicines, the prescription diet medicines, hypnosis. And at the end, before I came into food fellowship, I was just using my diabetes medicine and shooting myself up in the stomach so I could not gain as much weight when I ate. I'll just say one more thing about what it used to be like, and then I'll move on, is that I would come home from my firm in a business suit in the middle of the day and tip over the trash cans that were on the side of the house, because I had graduated to the trash cans on the side of the house. And I would tip them over, crawl in, scrape off the food that I had thrown out that morning that I just swore I wasn't going to eat it. So that's me without program. So I was about 32 years old. My diabetes was getting worse and worse, and I was putting hundreds and hundreds of packets of the yellow stuff on vegetable and having to call my endocrinologist in the middle of the night because my sugars just couldn't handle that. And anyway, I said to my therapist I had seen for 10 years, this is what just floors me. I finally said, I think I have a problem with food. And I told him what I did. And he said, yeah, you think? And he said, okay, there's this program. You need something more structured. So there's this program called, and it was another food fellowship. And I went there. And I actually sat down and sat all the way down. But here's the thing. I did that program for a decade. And even though I didn't have sugar or flour in my system for a ton of time coming into Gray Sheet, I'll tell you what it was that didn't work about that program is that we weighed and measured with exception. So I could go out to eat over 7 times a week, get huge quantities of that. Well, see, I think it's a mixture of two. I could weigh and measure with exception, and I was eating the grains that I could have in that program that we don't eat here. So I'd go out to eat in the morning and get huge quantities of that breakfast stuff that we can't eat and we choose not to eat here on Gray Sheet. And I was using people again. I was having people, I would ask people to come out to eat with me, and I would do that. And I was constantly thinking, if the food thoughts came back with a vengeance, that's what it was. They actually did. So I one day was at I was out and I was with someone that I didn't know was in Gray Sheet at the time. And she was putting fruit on a scale and we were out. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, I eat 3 weighed and measured meals a day with nothing in between but black coffee, tea, and diet soda. And she had said something about delicious and something about whatever she said. It doesn't matter. And I said, just take me. I want to go to a meeting. So on the way to the meeting at the Grove in Los Angeles, I said, by the way, I need to eat 6 meals a day. I have a medical abstinence because I have diabetes. And that's what my endocrinologist said. And she said, sure, you can eat 6 meals a day, not in this program. And how is that working for you? And it really was not working for me. So I figured I could do anything for 90 days. And I came in, and again, I sat all the way down. And on the 90th day, I was at another meeting in Los Angeles because it was a Saturday again. And I said aloud, there's nowhere I would rather be than my ass in this chair. And I meant it. I just knew it. The food thoughts were gone. I was present again. I didn't have the detox because I had done the detox before from the sugar and flour, but I dropped 12 pounds right away on my small frame because of the deception of others is deeply rooted in the deception of ourselves, right? With me just like eating huge quantities of food. Thank you, Annette. Let me move on to what it's like now. So I heard from someone here that it's too late to start weaving the net when I'm already falling. And so I've tried from the beginning to, I have a list of what I do. I'm sponsored, I sponsor, I go to meetings a lot. I'm sure a lot of you have seen me on meetings. I just got back from the most lovely retreat. It was phenomenal. I do service, and service is answering a telephone call, it's reading at a meeting, it's timing, it's showing up at a meeting. It doesn't matter what service is, it's all levels, it's whatever you do, it's being present and being a member of GreySheet, whether you're not abstinent or trying to get it, or you have 50 years. I've worked the steps several times formally, but I try to live in 10, 11, and 12, but every day I live in 1, 2, and 3. I can't, God can, I'll let him. And I do that when I weigh and measure my food that's committed to my sponsor, and I eat exactly what I commit no matter what, without exception. Without exception, there's been, everyone who's gone through no matter what's thinks that they're no matter what's or no matter what's. I'll tell you what my no matter what's are because it could be helpful. I actually have a list too. Unfortunately, I have to keep adding to the list, but here we go. So my no matter what's was be right shortly after I became abstinent in GreySheet. I had a major abdominal surgery with a hospitalization that put me into surgical menopause. And that was just lovely, right? And then started hormone replacements and the whole thing. And I was in my 40s. And so that was a no matter what. My parents, I'm being recorded. My parents divorced after 47 years of marriage. My dad got cancer shortly thereafter. My mom got married and my dad died. And I was his primary care person. And I'll tell you, that was in July that was 6 years ago. My dad died, and 1 week later, my sister-in-law died at 51 of a brain aneurysm. My dad was 72. And I thought, I'm never going to enjoy another wedding anniversary because it was also my 22nd. I mean, now it's my 22nd. It was my whatever wedding anniversary. And I just had my 22nd wedding anniversary and I enjoyed it. And I thought I'd never enjoy another anniversary in GreySheet. And I just celebrated 8 years and I enjoyed it because a GreySheeter came over. It's this too shall pass. My dad, they're with me every day. It's this, the grief is this, but I made it through abstinently. And my food was my anchor. My 3 weighed and measured meals was my anchor. And I was present for my dad. And I was present for my kids before they left for college. And I was present for people in my life today. I am, because I'm abstinent. I've traveled internationally several times. There's COVID. Most of you know Nan. I have to say that was my hardest no matter what in program, was my sponsor died after 6.5 years that I had her as my sponsor. And it was difficult because I love her. It's also difficult because it was so tied to the food. So every time I committed my food and weighed and measured and ate it, there was Nan. And now when I weigh my food and I get a 4.0 right away, it's like, oh, hi, Nan, thank you. So it's more of a positive. But I'm abstinent today because of each and every one of you in these boxes. I'm abstinent because of the 1,300 of us internationally. I'm abstinent because I do this honestly a day at a time, and I don't rely on yesterday's recovery for today's abstinence. I wake up, I do this drill over again, and I'm privileged to do it. And I am so more than grateful. And I pass. Thanks.